Hello, Coach Carrie here. Today, I want to help adult beginner players to pick up their very first racket. Now, maybe you are pumped for your first tennis lesson, or you've been having tennis lessons for a while and you've been borrowing someone else's racket and you are very eager to have your own. Well, today's content is for you. Now, just be mindful that I will be making a separate video to help parents on how to pick up rackets for their children and junior players who wants an upgrade because they are growing and developing fast.
Now, first, the thing I want to address is the source of the racket. So please don't buy it from Kmart or Amazon or any other commercial supermarkets that are not specialized for tennis rackets or tennis equipments, because the quality will be very mixed. Yes, you can get it cheaper, very low budget friendly, but if you look at this Wilson racket, for example, it has no specification on it. And I know Wilson is a pretty big brand, but it is also a brand with a wide range of product lines. And look at Amazon, yes, say Wilson Pro Staff, it's a decent racket, but there are also a lot of other rackets that are either not very well known or it is not a proper racket. Now, the sources I suggest for everything in one place, would it be first this one, the Tennis Warehouse Australia, Tennis Only, Tennis Direct, and Tennis Gear. Well, Tennis Direct and Tennis Only, from my experience in Australia, has a lot more frequent sales and discounts, so do keep an eye out on those two websites. And if you're living in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, you're in luck because Tennis Gear have 3 local centers in Brisbane where you can go to shop in person. Now, some of you may think, okay, I'm not sure if I want to invest a lot of money into a racket, just check one's price. This racket, Head Speed MP stands for Mid Plus, is like $350. And it is a pretty big investment. Well, there's always Facebook Marketplace or Gumtrees, depends on where you live, where you can buy secondhand ones. Well, as a beginner, when you're shopping online, if you do want to get a secondhand one, there are mainly, I would say, 3 things you need to pay attention to. One is the unstrung weight. And the unstrung weight is how heavy is the racket without the strings, without the tension added to the racket, without the weight added by the tension to the racket. And 2, the head size. So 100 square inch is pretty average or standard, and is at least 100 square inch or more for a racket to be beginner friendly, because the bigger the head size, the top of the racket, the bigger the sweet spot. And the bigger the sweet spot, the more forgiving the racket is. Which means if you hit a ball off center, the racket will be more accommodating for the mistakes. The ball may still likely to go over than, say, a 98 square inch with a smaller sweet spot. And if you look at this racket, you can see, where is that picture? Yes, in the left beam, there are some printed words on there. That's the specification of the racket. That's the difference between a no specification printed low budget racket and a proper tennis racket. I mean, on top of the price difference, of course. And usually these information will be printed on the beam of the racket or on the side of the head of the racket. So do please keep an eye out. And if you are at the third thing you want to pay attention to is the grip size. There are multiple to choose from, and the grip size related to your hand size. If you have a bigger hand, you might need a bigger grip size. Now, if you visit in store, it will be very easy to decide which grip size you have. And the biggest thing is to hold the racket in your hand relaxed and to see if there is a room for a finger between your thumb and your pinky. That's a good indication. However, if you do find a second-hand racket online, it's a little bit smaller grip size. What you can do is add a little bit more over grip on top of it. Now, I have some recommendations for beginner-friendly rackets, and let's go through them. The first one is a headline again, Head Extreme Meet Plus. You can see the description here, the 300 grams and strong weight, and head size 100 square inches. But if you think this is a little bit too heavy, you can go to the Head Extreme MPL. MPL stands for Meet Plus Light. So let's search MPL. Do they have an MPL? Yes, they do have an MPL line. And you can see the end strong weight is 280. So I would say between Meet Plus to Meet Plus Light for beginner. And another one is a Head Boom, which is used by Coco Gauff, who just won the Roland Garros 2025. Of course, Gauff will not use the light version, but here is a Meet Plus Light version, 270 grams, and I think the head size is still 100 square inch. If you want a little bit heavier, pick the Meet Plus one, and the weight is 295 and strong. Next one, we have Wilson Clash V3. You can see it is 100 square inch and 285 gram weight and strong. Yonex Ezone 100 Light is 285 grams and strong, 100 square inch size. If you want a bit heavier, Yonex Ezone 100, which is 300 grams weight and 100 square inch head size. Now, you may be thinking, okay, if I buy from website, it doesn't come up with a string. What kind of string should I get? Well, for beginners, I would say if you have a weaker arm, you want something a bit more arm-friendly, Wilson Sensation is a pretty good choice. Otherwise, I would say Yonex Polytour Pro. If you want a little bit budget-friendly, but also cost-effective, RPM Blast is not too bad. If you can spend a little bit more money, Alu Power is always a go-to choice. And now, how much tension? Say, if I choose Alu Power, how much tension would I put? Well, the tension related to, let's say, power and control of a racket. If you want more power, you would pick a lower tension. If you want more control, you would pick a higher tension. But relatively, what I see, players at recreational level can go from 46 to 56. As a beginner, if you have a lot of power, I would suggest maybe in winter, 52 or 50. In summer, 54, 56. If you consider yourself as need a little more power, you don't have a lot of power by yourself, I would say pick from like In winter, 48 to 50. In summer, maybe 50 to 52. And if you're unsure, I think the most stringers I know would always put 52 to start with, see how you feel, and you can go from there. Now, I know that if you're a particular fan of a brand, let's say Head Tennis, they also have their own website and stores you can visit, or if you love Wilson, um, you can go to their store to take your pick. But what I recommend, like if you're really new and you don't know where to buy things, those were four websites: Tennis Warehouse Australia, Tennis Only, Tennis Direct, Tennis Gear, is really good places to go to start with, before you become like a tennis expert.